Welcome back to CNW News. Today, we analyze a tectonic shift in Eastern European geopolitics, the official realization in Kyiv that it is no longer worth waiting for a realignment from the Trump administration. After more than a year of attempts, public overtures, and a level of patience that often bordered on embarrassment, the Ukrainian government has reached a harsh and definitive conclusion. Kyiv has given up on Donald Trump. To understand how we reached this breaking point, we have to look back at January 2025. Since Trump's return to the White House, Ukraine adopted a strategy of strategic silence. Even as they were ignored at major summits and publicly insulted by members of the US cabinet, President Zelensky maintained a diplomatic tone. The lowest point of this relationship was the Oval Office meeting in February 2025, where Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance imposed veiled surrender terms in front of the world's cameras. That day, the world saw a marginalized Ukraine, but Kyiv still tried one last card, the economic play. Zelensky went as far as signing controversial agreements for the exploration of rare earth elements, such as titanium and Ukrainian lithium. He offered the most valuable resources of his soil to try and buy Trump's loyalty. The objective was clear: to prove that Ukraine was a lucrative investment for the United States. However, the return on this political investment was zero. Trump not only kept military aid frozen, but began to openly flirt with the strategic interests of Vladimir Putin.
The breaking point for this diplomatic divorce didn't come from the front lines, but from the global oil market. During the recent escalation of tensions between the United States and Iran, the U.S. Treasury, under direct orders from the White House, temporarily authorized the sale of sanctioned Russian oil. The pretext was to lower gas prices for the American consumer, but the side effect was a multi-billion-dollar gift to the Kremlin. Estimates indicate that Putin collected approximately $150 million extra per day. For Zelensky, seeing the U.S. pad the war chest of his aggressor was the final signal that the alliance was dead. In response, Ukraine launched what analysts are calling the revenge of the drones. If Washington refused to effectively sanction Russian oil, Kyiv would do it manually. The campaign against Russian refineries reached a level of surgical precision. In just the last 2 months, strategic terminals in the Baltic and Black Seas have been turned into smoke. By striking the Strylatama complex more than 1,000 kilometers from the border, Ukraine proved that no Russian infrastructure is safe. So far, 40% of Russia's oil export capacity has been compromised, wounding Putin's budget in a way the Trump administration refused to do. With the United States out of the equation as a reliable partner, Ukraine is building a new architecture of survival based on 3 fundamental pillars. The first pillar is the Pearl mechanism. This acronym stands for Prioritized Requirements List for Ukraine, and it is a brilliant financial maneuver. Since Trump will not release traditional aid, NATO countries now buy weapons directly from US stockpiles and ship them to Kyiv. It is a way to bypass the political gridlock in Washington. The US sells and profits, but the Europeans pay the bill. 24 countries are already participating, including powers outside Europe like Australia and New Zealand. The second pillar is industrial self-sufficiency and the reversal of roles. Ukraine no longer wants to be just a client. It wants to be the supplier. In 2026, Kyiv plans to produce 7 million military drones. The most impressive data point is that Ukraine is now exporting defense technology to the Persian Gulf. Countries like Saudi Arabia and Qatar are buying Ukrainian drones to defend themselves against Iranian threats. It is proof that Ukraine's real-world combat experience is worth more today than any diplomatic promise from Washington. The third pillar is total diplomatic diversification. Zelensky has stopped looking solely toward the North Atlantic. He is closing technology co-production deals with Norway and Germany and forming security alliances with the United Arab Emirates. The strategy is to dilute American dependency. If Trump fulfills his promise to withdraw the US from NATO, Ukraine wants to be integrated into a new European NATO, formed by the UK, the European Union, Turkey, and Norway. What we are witnessing is the forced maturation of a nation under fire. The loss of American support, once seen as a death sentence, is now being treated as the necessary catalyst for Kyiv's total independence. Zelensky has stopped courting Trump and has begun to openly criticize his short-termist foreign policy. The Ukraine of 2026 is a country that learned the hard way that on the chessboard of great powers, alliances can be volatile, but industrial capacity and technological innovation are permanent. By giving up on Trump, Ukraine may have finally found the path to its own definitive sovereignty. The world has changed, and Kyiv is no longer waiting for Washington to lead the way.